Hi, this is Brent Rhymes, CEO of WolfePak Software, and welcome to WolfePak Wednesdays, a weekly webcast series that highlights the latest developments at WolfePak. The goal of WolfePak Wednesdays is to improve communication with our customers and our prospective customers. Each week, we'll cover topics such as new product releases, issues that impact the oil and gas industry, and we'll even take some time to do a little product training. Some weeks we'll host a live Q&A session with the WolfePak Wednesday panelists. We're posting these videos on WolfePak's YouTube channel. To find us, simply go to YouTube and search for WolfePak. Once you found us, please click on the subscribe button so that you'll get notifications each time we post a new video. And if you like a video, please click the like icon down at the bottom. And with that, we'll get started with this week's edition of WolfePak Wednesdays. Hi, and welcome back to WolfePak Wednesdays, episode 3 for Wednesday, May 26, 2021. And this week, we're going to dive into the latest release of WolfePak ERP, or as some of you guys know it as WolfePak Accounting. And I have with me today, Beth Hutton. Beth, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Very good. And I thought, Beth, before we get started, we could maybe learn a little bit about you and your role at WolfePak. So maybe starting out, so where did you grow up?
Right. So I kind of grew up all over the place. My dad was a Marine, and I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, but grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, mostly. Carolina.
Another WolfePacker with Tennessee connections, huh?
That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so when did you join WolfePak?
I started working at WolfePak in January of 2013.
Oh, wow. Okay. So been here a while. And why don't you tell folks about your role here at WolfePak?
So I am the ERP product manager for WolfePak, and Debbie Lee is also a product manager for ERP as well. And so basically she tries to keep me straight, and we help each other out and try to make some good improvements to WolfePak.
Outstanding, outstanding. How about a little background, family, hobbies, stuff you like to do for fun?
All right, so I have this 13-year-old daughter who is 13 and has got the 13-year-old attitude to go along with being 13. And my hobbies are apparently driving my 13-year-old around because she has a life and I don't.
Yes. I have met your daughter and bought many a fundraiser item from her. So
yes,
great young lady. All right, well, we got a lot to cover. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Right. So we're going to go through this by kind of topic area. Beth's kind of grouped the major enhancements. And since this is the first time we've done a WolfePak Wednesday on an ERP release, we are including a couple of the highlights from the previous 2 releases as well. There's a lot more that goes into a release than what we're highlighting here. We're just trying to bring up the major enhancements that we think the WolfePak community would be interested in. And just a fair warning, this is going to be a fairly detailed webcast. So if you're a hardcore WolfePak ERP/accounting user, hopefully you get a lot out of it. If you're not using that particular product in our portfolio, some of this might be interesting, but might be a little bit detailed for you. So with that disclaimer, Beth, why don't you take us through some of the important updates we've done to WolfePak ERP's reporting facility?
Right. So, we've been putting a lot of focus on first purchaser system, and there are things that our users may or may not notice in there just because it could be, slight behind the scenes type of functionality that's been programmed. For instance, we added a cover letter up there with story 31274 for the S10 pipeline invoice, and that is, it's just, number one, it's a professional thing to do. It gives WolfePak is providing professionalism to that particular invoice itself that goes out to the customers, to the clients. And then in story 31383 on the P11 report, we created a new field for product to be able to select that. Oil, gas, but, it's great. We have those, but now we have product as well. So that was a big thing. And I know they seem like very small things, but they're very consequential for our clients.
And for those that may not be familiar with these types of reports, what are the types of firms that would be producing the P11 report?
So the P11 report is mainly going to be produced by your operators. I'm sorry, your first purchasers to send to your operators, things of that. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty detailed report.
All right, very good. And by the way, for those of you that are joining the podcast or the webcast, the numbers that Beth's referring to are internal, what we call story numbers. They're how we keep track of enhancements here at WolfePak. Looks like the next one has to do with operator run statements. Maybe take us through that a little bit, Beth.
Right. So now our operator run statement that our first purchasers will send out to them will also include any refusal tickets and the option to include the legal operator, which is very important. So prior to these two stories here, that wasn't available on the operator run statement. That statement is really important for the operators.
All right, very
and
good.
Also to be able to those refusal tickets is pretty important to them as well.
And were they having to do that outside the product then, basically? It was a manual process. Now it's something that we can automate and include part of the
right. So it's definitely a manual process. And what happens is, honestly, when you're doing it outside the system and it's manual, there's always room for human error, which takes up even more time to research.
Got it. Okay, so improves accuracy and saves time. That's great stuff. So it looks like the next enhancement has to do with an improvement to the T9 run ticket grid view. Maybe take us through that.
Right. So the story below it and the T9 enhancement both go actually hand in hand. So the T3 report is really important for a lot of our clients to kind of be able to see their tickets and stuff by the property. So we had a request to see if we could put the feet and inches into, we were reporting in just inches, and now we have the ability to report in feet and inches, and we didn't take any functionality away, we just added to it. When we did that for the T3 report, we also put it on the run ticket grid view as, an alternative that can be selected if our first purchasers, any of our clients would like to see those tickets in feet and inches, if it makes more sense to them. In addition, we also added correction numbers or correction tickets to this T3 report so that the client now has visibility as to a ticket number if, there were corrections made to it and what those correction numbers were or are.
Got it. I have to think that would come into play whenever you're going through and doing an audit and doing change control.
Right. Absolutely.
Very good. Well, again, just some of the highlights on the reports to see all of the enhancements we made. We'll share with you the URL for the complete release notes at the end of the presentation. All right, well, let's move on. So we've made some updates to the revenue billing module of the WolfePak ERP system. Beth, take us through those.
So investor interface is one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest things that WolfePak has to offer, because we can take those entries from the company that has run the cycle and send them to other companies or send them back to the internal owner, and it just does it so quickly and so nicely. Well, right now, we were sending entries through back to either other companies, mostly that needed the 100% entries, and now we're including the DEX on them as well. So that was, one of those enhancements that we did. As long as they are using the WolfePak Investor GL, include 100% entries as the investor interface option, because we have, as you know, a lot of numerous options they can choose from. Very
good. Also, it looks like we added a report for the state of Michigan.
So, we're always trying to keep up with all the state reports, and we have plenty of state reports. Michigan is a new one that's been added for, that particular state on the state and federal reports tab, and it is the Uniform Production and Royalty Remittance Report, and that's a mouthful. But yes, we now offer that. If anybody needs to submit that to the state, it is there for you.
All All right. Next up, looks like we made some enhancements to the Energy Link integration that we have in the product.
Right, right. So we did make some enhancements to that file so that our revenue file that is sent to Energy Link, if the client wishes to take advantage of their print and mail options, we provide that information as to whether they should cut a check for it or do a direct deposit, a draft, if you will, and we provide that information to them. So then Energy Link can, do their thing over there with printing them and mailing them and so forth to the owners. It takes a load off of the client.
Got it. So essentially transmitting now payment instructions or payment options. Got it. As part of the integration.
Right.
Okay. Very good. And the next one, I know at the end here, we're going to do some demos of a couple of these features. This is one that we're going to demo, which is that now our DOI has a find button. So tell us what makes that interesting for our customers.
Yeah, actually, and this was another client request, customer request, and we love getting those because they tell us what they need. So the find button, it seems really simple on a DOI. Only if you have, maybe just say you have 75 owners, that find button's great, or maybe you just scroll down and find the owner you need to, correct something on fairly quickly. But we do have clients, and plenty of clients that have DOIs that have 1,000, 2,500, 3,000 owners, and that find button provides the ability for them to be able to either find that owner or to see how many a certain interest type that they have on that DOI, how many working interest owners or royalty owners, that kind of thing. So that is what the find button is about, and it's again very simple, but amazingly useful.
All right, it does sound interesting. Can't wait to see it. And then last but not least, we have the ability, I guess, now to do revenue corrections.
Well, we've always had the ability to do revenue corrections, right? But until we run into something sometimes, we don't know what we need to be looking at. And now we are also making the ability available to reverse the withholding if need be. So it's a checkbox on the the revenue correction utility that can be checked and will then take care of that for you.
Got it. Instead of having to manually calculate that yourself.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's good. All right. And we had a couple of enhancements with fixed assets and utilities. And the next one is one of the ones that we're going to demo here in just a minute. Maybe you can take us through that.
Yeah, so adjusting accumulated depreciation for those fixed assets used to be basically on an annual basis. And now, realizing that is not always the efficient way to, accrue that accumulated depreciation, we've made it available for month or quarter as well as annually. Now the client has the ability to select what they need to do. Most clients will depreciate by the month or the quarter, and the adjusting entries will be made at the end of that particular period, whatever that may they're adjusting for.
Very cool. And then the next one, company limits updated. I have no idea what that one's about. Maybe you can.
Right. Well, so we have to keep up with what the IRS wants, what's done with fixed assets every year. So we do make sure that we keep in touch with our partner that helps keep us straight, if you will, on fixed assets, and they always email us what we need to do, and we update our company limits so that nobody takes too much bonus depreciation or Section 179, and that is important for the clients to, not misstate their fixed assets.
Got it. They used to publish a big book with all of that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have plenty of those big books, and they are not fun to read through.
I had someone show me one of those one time, and it looked like some compelling nighttime reading. That's for sure.
Yes.
All right, and then a few changes on just the utilities for the product. Why don't you take us through a couple of those?
We're always trying to make sure that we provide in the change log everything that we can to ensure that we're capturing what was changed. And now we have added any price index changes to the change log so that, if something doesn't look quite right, the client can go to the change log. It's either found in the utilities module. There's also a management dashboard that has it as well. And take a look through it and see if there were any price index changes.
All right, makes sense. Then it looks like some updates to our unclaimed property module.
So, unclaimed property is huge. We've got to be able to get the states what checks cut, but we also have to make sure we're in compliance with each state, and each state is different. So we have to keep up with legislation changes. So we made some of those changes to the state of Wyoming. And something simple is updating contact information so that our clients are sending what they need to the proper address. We've had to just make those changes as you can see, for Illinois, Michigan, Hawaii, and West Virginia.
All right.
And we're constantly working on that one.
Sure, there's always changes coming in that we have to update the software for. No doubt.
Yeah.
Not to mention end of the year. I know that's always a lot of fun with
yeah.
All right, and the last one for utilities. Looks like it's bank reconciliation unclaimed process.
Right. So our unclaimed process sits in the bank rec module, which, basically that's where all that check history is. And so we kind of kept that group together. We have added a new record type to be able to go through the unclaimed process, and it's the record type S for non-participating royalty owners. And so now when we have those particular record types are found on the DOI, and therefore we have to kind of get that information flowing through the unclaimed process for our clients.
Okay, I know that we made a change to the file save, file open dialog boxes to the product that was driven by a need to improve our security there. Maybe you can take users through some of the changes to the file save dialog box.
Right, so we did make a lot of changes to those dialog boxes. So there were a lot of the right-click menu options that would allow a user to, cut and paste or to delete a file, even send a file to somebody else, or open it with another program. And this was a security risk. Now that a lot of people are working from home, we have a lot of employees working from home, we also wanted to make sure that we basically kind of, secured this particular dialog box from any type of malware or viruses, things of that nature. So basically, when you are saving something, there will be no more right-click menu. But it will allow you to save a path as a favorite or a default location, and we do provide validation for non-writable folders, right? So WolfePak can go through and do that for you. It just helps to keep, the client data, WolfePak data safe, and, we're working on our end to make WolfePak as secure and as safe as we possibly can so that our clients feel safe with trusting us with their data.
Yeah, and this modification really came out of a project that Ryan Laley's team has been working on to review WolfePak from a security perspective. And we've been making several changes, many of which you'll never know because they're behind the scenes, but they are aimed at improving our product. This one does impact the user interface, and really the objective of locking down the file dialog boxes was that we wanted to close a possible exposure where somebody could introduce a virus or introduce some other kind of malware. And of course, everybody's seen on the news some of the impacts the ransomware's had on the Colonial Pipeline, for example. And so we are spending quite a bit of money, investing quite a bit of money, working with some third-party experts that have done a thorough review of all of WolfePak's products, but especially our accounting and ERP product. And we are going through and, one by one, improving the security of our ERP accounting product. This is one that is visible. This is one that you'll notice is a little bit different. We've had a couple of users complain because they lost some functionality, and guess what? They did. But unfortunately, it was just necessary because it's something that we have to do to improve the product security And our first priority is to make sure that we're doing everything possible to keep our users' financial information as secure as possible.
That's absolutely right.
Very good. Well, Beth, I'll tell you what, I'm going to turn over control to you and have you go through. I think we have 3 different things that we wanted to demo.
Okay. So one of the first things that I wanted to show you, which I talked about that T3 report. So let me go over here to our first purchase module. And the T3 report is found under number 30 report. And as you can see here, it's the T3 run ticket detail report by cycle date. And just to kind of give you an idea, this particular company is our first purchaser company, and it is a test company that we use. So it's got some older data in it that we kind of play around with and pair up, if you will. But it will provide exactly what we want it to provide so that our clients can see what we're doing. So basically what we have done here is we've taken some of these readings that are normally in inches only, and we have taken them to feet and inches if they so choose, right? So as you can see for tickets, this particular ticket right here, there's a beginning reading and an ending reading. You can see that it's in inches, and then over here we moved it to feet and inches as well.
Okay, that looks great, Beth. What about the DOI search?
Right, so the DOI find button, the one that I like a lot, is very simple again, but got a lot of punch to it. So I'm going to switch companies over to Wingle, and all our clients know that that is one of our test companies that we do a lot in there too, and show them a lot of different things. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a DOI here, and I'm going to find one that has a few owners on it. Our DOIs are not nearly as big as certainly some of our clients have, but we can get the general idea of what this find button will do, because it's kind of a little bit hidden. So everybody knows the find button here that will allow them to find a certain DOI or a certain deck, if you will. But this little find button right here is what we're talking about. This little guy is new. And you can see up here, we've got the fields, whether you want to be case sensitive. Most of our hardcore WolfePak users will know what this box is here for, whether you want an exact match, partial match at the beginning, or partial match anywhere. And then what is it we're trying to match? So if we take a look at the fields we have to choose from, we can choose our owner AR account. And you say, well, Beth, you know, it looks like they're all 1,200. And for us, they are, unless you have a partnership and you have different AR accounts, you know, for those different partnerships. So that's why we added that there. And then, of course, the owner number. And our clients know their owner numbers frontwards and backwards and can recite them. It's amazing. And then remember, we talked about the different interest types. So how many royalty owners do I have? It'll take you through each one. And then an interest type sequence number. So we may have the same owner that has 2 or 3 royalty interest types, an R, an R1, and an R2 interest type. And so with that, we may want to see all of our R1s or all of our R2s. And so that's where it kind of comes in handy. So to give you a little bit of an example, and I don't have very many owners on this particular DOI, but if I wanted to find a particular owner number, maybe I want to find Mr. Toby Harris, I can type it in there, and it's always going to position my cursor where that owner is. That's right. And you can also be in the change DOI doing this if need be as well. So that's how it, you know, sits there and finds the owner. And if I click on next, it's going to tell me there are no more matches because I was just looking for one particular owner. If I want to see a particular interest type, like a working interest owner, so I'll put my W in there for working interest, and you see down here, that's what it's looking for. I always want to see my first one, and it's always going to go, get this out of the way so everybody can see here, it will position the cursor at the first working interest owner, and then next, and it'll go all through the DOI if that's what you want it to do, okay? And then, of course, we have the interest type sequence. You know, that's for those different R1, R2. But even though it's very simple, it's very important to have this type of functionality, because if there are, for instance, 1,000 owners or 2,000 owners, it's really important not to have to waste time, honestly, waste the time scrolling through a DOI to find those owners and make those changes. It just brings in a little bit more efficiency.
Well, makes a lot of sense. So I think the last thing we were going to demo, since again, it's something that people are going to notice, are some of the changes in the save dialog box. So
Right.
You take us through that real quick.
So the dialog boxes, I think one of the best places to show this is in the Journal Ledger module in number 32 Ledger, because our clients will use this to go report a lot. Perhaps I wanted to run a ledger listing for my AP account for all my vendors for everything in 2021 so far, which is a very plausible report. What I want to do is be able to save this as a file. There's an Excel file. So I click on my Excel button, and you'll see here is my dialog box, where it lets me select a file name or put in a file name, and also, format, which WolfePak tries to help and make sure, what format you want this in. We click an Excel button, so that's what it assumes we want. But this is what I'm talking about right here, the right-click feature. So I can't right-click on GL, and this happens to be a GL folder in the PRT folder in WolfePak, and delete it or move it or copy it anywhere, send it to anybody. And that is, the functionality of what we've done to make it more secure. Now, that doesn't mean you can't save the file that you need where you want it saved. So, for instance, if I want to save this to, my C drive, I can save this to my C drive in any one of these folders, or maybe just save it outside the folder. So it's going to let you save what you need. It's just not going to let you do anything that could cause WolfePak in your data any harm. So I'm going to save this to my desktop here, and I'm going to call this file test. When I click save, it'll go through running the report that I want and saving it to an Excel file. It's going to ask me if I want to look at it, and if I do, I can, and of course, if I don't, I won't. And so it's on my desktop. But say, I need to come back in and I need to, run this again a little bit later on, a couple weeks later. If you'll notice now, we have a file path in here. WolfePak's going to try to, give you a little bit of help based on where you saved it the last time. You're not stuck with this. You can change it to what you need it to be, of course. But, that's just a little bit of extra help that WolfePak is now providing for a little bit more efficiency.
Good deal. So it looks like it basically functions the way that the old dialog box did. It's just we've disabled that right mouse click menu. So if you do need to create a new folder or copy stuff, you need to come out of the product and just use the tools provided by Windows, as opposed to doing that from within.
Right. Absolutely. And again, this will make things a lot nicer for our clients.
Very good. Okay, well, thank you, Beth. Really do appreciate the demos and appreciate your time today. I know that the folks that have joined the webcast do as well. As we mentioned at the beginning, these are just some of the highlights of the past couple of releases for WolfePak ERP. If you would like to find out more, you can go out to the WolfePak website. The simplest thing is just to click on the search button and enter in the search term release notes. I've also provided the direct URL here. It'll go to the section of the WolfePak blogs that contain the detailed WolfePak release notes. And again, if you're looking for a great way to get to sleep, go through those release notes. They are very detailed. They cover every single feature that we've included in each release, as well as several bug fixes. But they are actually very informational if you're trying to figure out whether perhaps a requested change that you've had is made it into the product. And with that, we will wrap up this week's WolfePak Wednesdays. As always, if you have questions for Beth or myself or anybody here at WolfePak, please email Wednesdays@wolfepak.com. Also, we're always looking for topics as well. So if you have a topic, please email those to us. And then also, we post these out to YouTube, to the WolfePak channel on YouTube. And we would ask everybody, if you like these weekly sessions, please click the subscribe button. That helps drive our statistics on YouTube. And if you like a particular video, please click on like down at the bottom of the video. Thanks again, Beth, for being a good sport and being a guest host this week. Thank you everyone for attending, and we'll see you next Wednesday.